Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
What's up, Doom Nation, and welcome back. You are listening to the Two Doomed Men podcast. As always, it's Skaggs and yours truly, the Captain, and we are in a very special location with some very special guests today. Skaggs, you want to explain what's going on?
Yes, sir. We are at the Libertarian Party of Connecticut's convention, doing a lot of exciting things today. We're going to have the candidates be, they're going to be having their debate in a little bit. This will be coming out after that, so if you are listening to this, don't forget to check that out. That'll be on all of our channels. So we got some time to kill in between, so we thought we'd do a podcast while we're here. We got our two buddies. We got Lance and Ben here. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, some of their followers know me. You've seen my beautiful face, 3 or 4 times now. I've been on with these guys. Yeah, just out here. My name's Lance Leduc. I'm actually the convention chair this year. This was my first year serving as that. So we got we put together a convention. I hope everybody's going to enjoy it. We got done the boring part this morning, all the bylaws and the stuff that nobody likes. So we're hoping a bigger crowd comes later for the presidential debate, and we got a speaker event going on later. So should be fun. But thanks for having me again, guys.
Yeah, man.
Of course.
Ben, go for it.
My name is Ben, and I am from New Hampshire. I'm here tabling for the Emo Caucus. I founded the Emo Caucus last year, and I'm just me. I'm also on the board for the Libertarian Party New Hampshire. I've been pretty involved with Libertarian politics for a while, and starting out in California and moving out here several years ago.
Are you the one writing the tweets for the Libertarian Party?
I've wrote some tweets, but none of the ones that
fantastic.
You people don't like. I don't know.
Oh, no, I like them. I think they're hysterical.
Okay.
I feel like they've been a little bit tamed down lately. But,
not the ones that are sending me death threats.
Okay.
Yeah. No, those aren't the ones that I'm writing.
Can you give us a little background on New Hampshire? That's a place Skaggs and I are dying to go and check out, man. A lot of freedom up there?
There's a lot of freedom. I love my freedom. I had been trying to get to New Hampshire for a long time, and in order to facilitate that, I moved to California for 3 years to work construction, make money. It honestly wasn't worth it living in California to lose your freedom, but I gained it back. And I think New Hampshire has a great opportunity for anybody who cares about liberty and freedom because, we're actually able to accomplish some legislation. Like we were able to nullify federal gun laws last year, abolish and end no-knock raids and warrants, defend the guard bill just passed the committee and is about to go into the House. It's expected to pass the House. We have like 40 state reps that call themselves libertarians that are there, like working with the Free State Project that, that got elected. So that's like over 10% of our body of state reps.
Of your local, like your local Congress.
There's 400 state reps in the state that, and New Hampshire actually has the best, the greatest number of representatives per tax citizen of anywhere in the country and almost the entire world. If you think about like California, they've got like 40 or 50 state reps to represent almost 100 million people or something crazy like that. And New Hampshire has like 1 million people. We got 400 state reps. So when you're talking about electing a state rep for your area, you're literally electing someone that's your neighbor. So they are able to represent your community a lot better. And because of that, it's also a lot easier to win elections. It's a lot easier to, you don't have those areas where, the southern part of the state that borders Massachusetts is very blue and very progressive. But everything going north from there, just, they're freedom lovers. It's the live free or die mentality, and they do represent that very well. Even like there's some moderate Democrats that will respect your gun rights and freedom and stuff. And we actually have the chair of the Democrat Progressive Caucus that is supporting the Defend the Guard bill and helping the Nullification Caucus to try to help push this through the State House. So you do have those anti-war Dems. They still exist in New Hampshire, and I don't know. We're doing some cool stuff up there. And obviously, I love paying less taxes too. That's a huge plus. I'm definitely not complaining.
More machine guns per capita, stuff like that, right?
Definitely, yes.
What do you guys do in the winter, though? I mean, that's harsh.
Yeah, do all the libertarians go south for the winter, or do they stick it out?
Stay in their bunkers?
At that point, we're basically just running on adrenaline. No, yeah, like that is it. I mean, I was born and raised in the Northeast in Pennsylvania originally. I lived in Colorado for a while too, so I'm not like shy to snow. I will say that like the winters are bad, but Colorado got significantly more snow last year than New Hampshire did. It gets freaking cold, and the cold lasts a lot longer. But you know, you can always put on more layers. You can only take off so many. Yeah. That's what I always say. I worked in California, 110-degree heat out in the sun for 3 months straight, and I'll take this all day.
Yeah, I remember seeing last winter, I don't know if you guys remember, we had like a really cold weekend or something like that. And I remember seeing something about like Mount Washington in New Hampshire had like I think in the negative 100. It was like negative 100 and something on Mount Washington. Right? Yeah. I think that was a record-setting low, like in North America.
Yes. And I think there's a guy. So I don't, and you might, being a New Hampshire resident, know this more. The rumor at that time when that was going on, I think it was like January of last winter. There's like somebody their weather station on top of Mount Washington. There's like a guy. There's somebody employed by the state. I'm assuming that has to like go out there once an hour to like check on things or whatever. And I'm like,
he just freeze solid.
And I'm like, that might be the time to do, like, that's my 2 weeks notice. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you know,
I remember that storm very well because I had a couple pipes burst in my house and it flooded my garage. So
the cold aspect to New Hampshire, I think, isn't that kind of part of the strategy of libertarians living up there? That like if you're gonna move here to New Hampshire and deal with the cold, you're going to be pretty committed to the cause.
You got to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a reason people don't want to live there. For me, I actually don't mind the snow and I don't mind the cold, but it's not for everybody. Let those people move to like Florida or whatever, where they can go enjoy their red flag laws and shit like that. But you know,
anti-free speech laws if you want to talk about Zionism or something like that.
Right.
And for people, I've never lived in New Hampshire. I've vacationed there. It's a popular vacation spot for New Englanders. But for people that don't know the geography of New England too well, like there's plenty of New Hampshire that the weather's not going to be different than living in like central Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? True. It's just the closer you get to Canada, now you're talking about a pretty, there is a slightly different climate up there, but like most of the southern half of New Hampshire,
it's pretty much what you get in Connecticut.
Yeah, it's similar weather. It's, you know, because it's only, I'm guessing from my house in northern Connecticut, you're maybe a 2-hour drive from me. You know what I mean? Like it's not,
which is like 2 or 3 degrees difference.
It's not that much different.
Yeah, I've been looking for a couple months, just like browsing on Zillow properties up there. Like I know me and him have talked endlessly on this podcast about how like we want like a container in a field, like a zombie apocalypse shelter out there. But in all honesty, I think it would be awesome to have a spot up there for camping, hunting, and future prospects. I do think that New
homesteading.
Hampshire,
well, that is one thing about New Hampshire that is like above and beyond anywhere I've ever lived and anywhere I ever will live. It's like the homesteading capital of the United States in New Hampshire. And the coolest thing about the Free State Project is that they've got like farmers markets all the time. There's people that own restaurants. There's so many business owners and people who are like part of infrastructure, construction, that if shit hit the fan and society did like go in a way where you needed to be self-sustainable, our community, our libertarian community in New Hampshire could like sustain itself.
See, I love that. Absolutely. Me and him grew up in New York. And
Me too.
There you go.
There's 3 of us.
And I don't know, like, how much you know about New York, how much you've traveled through the boroughs or anything like that.
I'm from PA, so I've been through New York quite a bit. Yeah.
So if you were to go to like a Giants game and tailgate,
I am a New York Giants fan till I die. By the way,
are you really?
Go,
all right, let's go.
Bleed blue to the day we die. But that being said, if you go to
Jets fan,
get the hell out of here. Next,
sorry, we all suck equally. So yeah.
If you go to a Giants game and you try to make friends, you will be cursed out. You will. There's more Giants fans fighting each other than there are like Philly fans fighting each other.
You're right.
So like, there's no community in our home state at all, and it's sad. And when we travel places and you see like a sense of community, it's foreign. It's awkward to us. Why are you talking to me? Like it's actually a strange thing.
I mean, the Free State Project is something that's been 20 years in the making, so it's taken a long time for them to get to this point. But, you know, we have new movers coming all the time. Like, I just got an apartment in Manchester, New Hampshire, which is one of, like, the busier areas. It's more of, like, it's not a city, but it's, like, the most populated area in the entire state. And what I did for to help the cause is I got a 4-bedroom apartment. I have a couple extra rooms. I live by myself. So I just want people to come and visit, spend a week there, enjoy the culture, enjoy the community, go out to some events, because FSP has literally every day of the week. You can go to 2 or 3 different libertarian liberty events.
I'm sorry, what's FSP?
Free State Project.
Oh.
Yeah. Free State Project has literally every day of the week 2 or 3 different events that you could go to just be part and immerse yourself in the community. We have 2 or 3 libertarian clubhouses where they pay dues to rent out a building, and you can go and just hang out there and party all the time. It's literally the best place.
Don't tempt us with a good time.
We just shot each other a look.
We do political commentary, but our bread and butter is partying.
I love it. Okay.
So good.
You started the Emo Caucus?
The Emo Caucus, yes.
Explain,
Yes.
my friend.
So the Emo Caucus was an idea I had. It's actually, Otto Dassing from Punk Rock Libertarians.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
sounds
this
familiar.
was definitely my idea. But I messaged him when I was at Reno, and I was like, man, there's all these goofy caucuses, the Waffle House Caucus, the Professional Wrestling Caucus, but we don't have anything
down
for the
for that
music
one.
scene. what's up because I've been in a band most of my life, and I love the music scene, but there's nowhere for people in music to go in the liberty movement. And the music scene is very anti-authoritarian. They hate the government. They don't like the 2-party system. And to be honest, this mostly started off as a joke, but I'm like, dude, is this a good idea? And he's like, that's a great idea. So started up a Facebook page, started up a Twitter, and it's kind of still growing because it's only really a little over a year old at this point. But this developed into something where you can, I basically turned it into a cause, because I go out to concerts all the time. I'll wear a punk rock vest that has a bunch of libertarian patches on it, and people talk politics with me every single time. I never leave a show without talking politics with somebody, and there is a ton of people out there that not only are libertarian, they just don't know what a libertarian is, but they hate the 2-party system. They need the fuck you vote. So I point them in this direction. I get them in a community or Facebook group where all we do is talk about music. We don't talk about politics in there at all. But this is the Libertarian Party Emo Caucus group. They'll go in there, and we've had several people sign up to join the party out of that. Just to there's that aspect of it, and then also recruiting bigger name bands as well, people that I've played with or toured with. I played at Warped Tour in 2015, and some of these bigger artists, they're libertarians. They call themselves libertarians, but they can't talk about it because they're scared they're going to lose their entire livelihood if they say something wrong. Mm-hmm. And this has happened a million times. Cancel culture is prevailing more than ever, but if there was a network of musicians on top of the community of libertarian music scene people, this community and it can sustain itself. And I think the best way for us to impact the world and culture is through art and music. I don't believe it's through politics. So that all of my political opinions have been formed through the music I listened to growing up, punk rock and stuff like that. So this is my niche. This is something I'm passionate about. I've been passionate about for a long time. Been in and out of bands and toured across the country a couple times. So these are my people. So I know how to talk to them. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of having fun with this. This is my way of making libertarian activism fun again. So
it's pretty rock and
That's
roll.
awesome. That's awesome. You said something that I just want to chime in. I forget exactly how you worded it, but arts and music and culture is so influential. Skaggs, you might know the answer to this. Who said, I know Michael Malice has said it, but I don't know that it's his quote, that politics are downstream.
I think that's Breitbart said that
Okay.
politics is
Don't love
downstream
that,
of
but
culture.
Michael Malice said it, love that part. So, yeah, politics are downstream of culture. I've believed that for a very, very long time, that especially being a third party, right? You need to influence culture. Culture influences how people vote, right? And if you can influence that through music, like Ben is trying to do, or Hollywood, and it could, think about how many people listen when Matt Damon gets in front of a microphone and says oh, this is how you should vote and this is why, and the world is crumbling, and the answer is
Climate change.
Cher and Rosie O'Donnell have all the
Exactly.
answers.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I think that Hollywood, academia, all these huge institutions, the music, Hollywood, these are institutional powers in our lives that we don't even realize. The corporate press itself is a culture, right? And like they have such a powerful influence over us that I think most Americans don't even realize that they're hearing all of this and their brains are being pumped full of it, and it shifts the way they think and their worldview. And if we as libertarians can just push toward, even if it's not the Libertarian Party, I would love for it to be that, but just liberty in general,
too.
right? The philosophy of libertarianism. If we can push that somehow through culture, which that's why listening to Ben, and what was awesome listening to Ben just now, and we haven't really met, we've talked a little over the phone. You can hear he's passionate about it, right? Like and like you just need people that are willing to do that. And maybe it's small right now, but you get a lot of people making those pushes culturally, and that's. I mean, think about how much the world has changed. How many? Who's changed more people's worldview? Joe Rogan or
Nancy Pelosi?
Right. It's Joe Rogan. Yeah. We all know it's Joe Rogan, right? Yeah. It's because he's a cultural.
Well, you got to think of it as at this point in time in American culture, it's counterculture.
Correct.
Because
right-wing hippies, as Dave Smith recently said. Yeah, I thought that was a great fucking line.
Because if you think of it, the Democratic Party for the past 10 years is the one that has been controlling culture. Mm-hmm. We've been pushing back on it. That's why we're deplorables. That's why
it's like we're 50 years behind on the culture war. Sure. I don't think the culture war can ever be won ever again. I think it's way too far behind.
I think we can, and I think it's going to be a brutal takeover.
It's going to take something crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The quote is that politics is downstream of culture. I think it was either Malice or Dave who said that that's not necessarily true. The river or the stream can run in either direction, using the example of COVID, right? So government policy, in effect, changed people's behavior and culture. How many people now are still wearing a mask 3 years after the fact, right? Like, that's not a cultural thing in America for a certain sect of a group of people.
That's a fair point.
So that being said, like, I agree 100% with everything you guys are saying. Libertarians need to invade the culture space way more often. And I think that is happening. But that's not to say that we don't need to be active politically as well, because if we just are absent in that regard and don't do like what we're doing right here now today at the convention, then some tyrant is going to take over and force some sort of new culture, the new normal.
Live in the pods and eat the bugs.
Whatever that might be.
Eats the bugs. I completely agree. Like, we definitely need to have our foot in the door politically still. Like, even myself, like, I'm obviously immersed in the music scene, but I ran for sheriff last year, county sheriff, and like, if you want to see political change, if not you, then who? That's basically my philosophy. So if no one else is stepping up, and why just bitch about it on the internet? Go fucking put your head in the game and get some skin in it and make a difference. Even if it's just in your community, change somebody's opinion, change your neighbor's opinion.
It has to start in your community.
Yeah.
We need to get to a more localized culture.
Everyone knows or could see over the statistics, like over the past 75 years, how the population went from, in America, more rural to urban. And when you think about that, it was a little bit more localized, and people kind of knew their neighbors. But over the course of, like I said, the past 75 years or whatever it's been, people have moved to the cities. There's a lot of different factors as to why that is. But, living in the Bronx for almost my entire life, I mean, you don't know anyone. Like, and there's so many people right next to you, but you don't know anyone. Not only you're almost born into the culture. Not only do you not know anybody, but you don't want, like, you're just annoyed by their presence almost. You don't want to even socialize with them, because people are having parties or I can't tell you how many times I got yelled at for my dog taking a shit on someone's, like, the little patch of grass, not even on their lawn, on the little patch of grass on the sidewalk. And I'd get yelled at from. I'm like, I'm going to pick it up. Like, what is even the big deal? That's kind of like that's the culture that comes about when you're, like, crammed into this small area with everybody. It's not good. It's put it that way.
Like, we're all, like, naturally protective of our own space, and it's really hard to have your own space when you live in such a tight.
Well, you're paying so much for such a smaller space as well.
True, yeah.
And I see it too. I live in a building, and I mean, I literally pass people in the hallway and say hello, and they just walk by, and I just turn around and go, Okay, thank you.
I think a little bit of that is a Northeast culture also.
Yes,
it's like
yes.
way worse here, like you were talking about when we go to the Giants games, and we've most of the time ended up getting into fights with Giants fans more often than the other team's fans. But then I've gone to, let's just use, for example, football again. I've gone to Dallas for a Giants-Cowboys game. The Cowboys fans in Texas were the nicest people ever. And it's funny because, you know, in New York we'll always be like, oh, Cowboys fans, they're the worst. They're not actually the worst.
It's just
that they're
fan.
New Yorkers. They're Cowboy fans in New York. So because they're New Yorkers, then they're the worst. So there's some little geographical culture that comes with it also. Like the South is way more nice, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, go Giants. I mean, it's obviously evidenced by our own controversy with the quarterback stuff right now, too. By the way, so
he's out for the season.
He is out for the season.
But we got Danny DeVito,
we got
baby.
DeVito, baby.
Yeah, we'll see if he can bring us. I saw a statistic that we have like a 0.1% chance of getting into the playoffs.
I mean, when he won the game the other week,
tell me there's a chance.
The first time he came in and he won, just the other week against Washington, I was like. I was mad that we won.
You ruined our first-round draft pick.
Yeah, you ruined it.
Yeah.
And now we won a second game against the Patriots. I was a little happy we beat the Patriots again, But, like, at this point, I'm just
where we are, it's either the first-round draft pick or the Super Bowl victory. Everyone else is a loser.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Lance, but I've taken the strategy this season. I'm just checked out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not watching any games. I'm not following anything. I'm not even watching any, auxiliary games of any other team. I'm just – the NFL does not exist this year for me. I'm just taking a break.
I'm in a different seat as a – so I'm Yankees, Knicks, and Jets super fan, right? And
At least you got good baseball.
And so the Jets so they've had like top 5 defense 2 years in a row. So then when we saw Aaron Rodgers come in, it was like, all right, even if he's not Aaron Rodgers of like 2010, it doesn't matter because he's just got to be like league average.
He's not going to be another Mark Sanchez, though.
Yeah, well, no, but he just
failed investment.
He just needs to be decent, and we're going to win 10, 11 games at least, maybe 12 games. And then so when he went down third play of the season, it was like so heartbreaking. But I can't. But yeah, I'm rooting for us to lose because I saw. So as a Jets fan, you guys probably don't remember the details of this as much as I do. You guys were just talking about ruining a draft pick. If we didn't beat the Dolphins, I think it was the Dolphins, last game of the season in the year that we drafted Zach Wilson, we would have had the number 1 overall pick, and we'd have Trevor Lawrence right now. They found a way to Jets it and win a game that would have handed them. They were slotted to have Trevor Lawrence and have the number 1 overall pick. And they won the game, and it bumped him to number 2. And now Zach Wilson, who I think maybe he's like a lefty, and that's the problem. That's how bad he is I don't even think he's throwing the ball with the right hand.
Miami probably flopped on purpose, to be honest. They probably didn't want you to
But I don't remember if it was definitely Miami, but I remember we went into the last game of the season, and we would have, if we lost that game, we got the number 1 overall pick, and now you put that defense behind it with a young Trevor Lawrence, and the picks that we got, like Garrett Wilson. I don't know how on top of the NFL you guys really are, but like Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, those were all picks with Seattle that we would have had anyway. That when we traded away Jamal Adams, so we still would have had this elite defense. We would have had Garrett Wilson, who's a young stud wide receiver, Trevor Lawrence. It would have been, who knows, right? But
shoulda, coulda, woulda. But
yeah,
you're the Jets.
Listen, well, you're the fucking Giants, so
we really can't talk.
Didn't they play each other this year?
I gotta say though,
they're gonna.
Yes,
I don't think they
no,
did. Did they play each
did
other?
play, yeah.
Again,
That
I'm
was the
checked
game we were
out. So
supposed to
Yeah, it was like
I
week.
don't know.
It was
Yeah.
it was like week 6 or 7. They played.
The only, I have plenty of arguments though. Giants are the last New York team to bring home a championship.
You were relevant.
There's only several teams that I will allow people to talk shit to me about.
Here's what I love about the Giants. Here's what I love about the Giants.
Steelers.
You beat the Patriots.
Yeah,
sure.
In both of them.
Twice.
Which, as a Jets fan, think about how much I hate the Patriots.
By the way, living in New England as a Giants fan is very interesting.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
I
the
could
first
imagine.
experience. with that.
It's weird because where I live in Connecticut, it's only like
It's mixed.
10-minute ride to the New York border, and I mean, like the second you cross over, it's like Patriots country. Like it turns into New England.
The New
very
England
fast.
Patriots.
Yeah.
That's why they branded themselves that way, to not tie themselves to like the Massachusetts Patriots, because they wanted to get all the little tiny states in this geographical area. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have a monopoly
they
on
have
football
'em.
up here for sure.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I'm completely checked out this season from football.
I just can't.
So I'm just like sitting here like, yep. I can only talk historical, in historical terms, really.
So I assume, well, Lance, I know you have the dinner. Are you going to the dinner as well, Ben?
I won't be at the dinner. I'll be at the speaker event
Speaking
afterwards.
event. So who are you guys most looking forward to talk to, meet, hear, listen to?
At the speaker event?
Yeah. For those listening, it's going to be Maj Toure, Josie the Redheaded Libertarian, Clint Russell, and I'll let you try to make the
Mr. Joe.
pronunciation.
Yeah.
Mr.
So
Joe.
I think it's, I'm going to butcher it. Fenzwu Zhou?
Yeah.
He's assured us it's Mr. Joe is like his Americanized name.
Okay, Mr. Joe.
He was one of the leading political activists, particularly with the students of China, during the Tiananmen Square events in the late 80s. I'll just say if people aren't aware of what happened in Tiananmen Square, and that what started out as like an activism movement and turned into a slaughter of thousands of people in China that were pushing back against a tyrannical government. He was listed, I learned this only this week when I was typing up his intro that Larry Sharp will deliver. He was listed as the number 5 most wanted man by the Chinese government at one point, which when I read that, I was like, this is the guy, right? That's who I want to listen to. So I listen to Liberty Lockdown, Clint, all the time. I'm very aware of Josie, the Redheaded Libertarian. She's awesome. Journalist. She goes on Tim Pool's podcast. Excuse me.
Weekly.
Pretty often.
She's a contributor there.
And Maj Toure, I actually organized him to come out here for a 2A movement with the CCDL, who's here today a few years ago. So I've met him, had a cigar with him. He's a really cool guy. He'll be here talking about his gun rights stuff that he does. I'm really excited about all those guys, but those are guys that, two guys and lady who I listen to often. I know their take on a lot of things. I'm excited to have him here in person and meet them. But Mr. Joe is somebody that there's like a curiosity behind what this guy's going to talk about, and somebody who's actually walked the walk. Like we hate tyranny. We hate the state for the most part. I mean, I despise the state, but we all have our we have our. But for a guy who's done what he's done and literally face down the barrel of a gun, that's
exactly what I was going to say. He's literally face down tyranny at the end of a barrel.
Yeah.
So that's all set aside, that's on another level.
Yeah.
Compared to anything that most Americans have ever dealt with here.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Which is why we're fighting what we fight, so that we don't have to face that.
Yes,
right?
exactly. We're trying to get ahead of the game here.
Trying to stop marching towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy does sound like a badass for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those listening, I am going to record all those speeches that they are giving,
Awesome. And
we'll put those up after. So keep an eye out for those. I'll probably be sending them out to the people who give the speeches also, so they could post it on their channels as well. Anything else you want to talk about, Cap?
Well, I'm excited for Maj. Ben, who are you excited about?
I'll say probably like Clint. I've been a huge fan of Liberty Lockdown since the COVID stuff, and he does a great job articulating all that. He's a really intelligent guy, but more than anything, I would be doing the Emo Caucus injustice if I wasn't hoping that he would bust out, break stuff, and act like Fred Durst a little bit just for today.
For people who don't know Clint, he's always
red backwards Yankee hat.
He resembles him a little bit, and I think even age-wise, he's in that pocket.
He was called Libertarian Fred Durst on Twitter somewhere, and Fred Durst actually replied to it like, "I'm nothing like this guy."
Yeah, right. Yeah. So,
but if we can get a little break stuff, even just like a couple, just a verse,
Just
man.
spit a few bars.
Just a verse,
That's it, yeah.
It's just one of those.
You
days,
got your.
yeah, right.
What do you play? Maybe we could just start shredding a little bit. Yeah.
In the band that I toured with, I was the singer, but I can play guitar, bass, everything.
There we go. If you got a guitar with you, we just start.
We're going to put together the Libertarian Avenger band.
Yeah.
You could throw
Libertarian
some
Biscuit.
Just do YouTube karaoke, and we'll make.
We'll get
much respect for people who have music.
We'll get Andy Coons, who we had on. He's like a death metal, musician, and he's a libertarian anarchist. So we had him on a couple months ago.
Hell yeah.
We'll throw him in there as well.
I can barely play the table.
Yeah, I can't even hold a tune.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Nice. All right, everybody. I think this will be part 1. We'll see if there is a part 2, and we'll continue. As I said, thank you, boys. Why don't you guys shout out where you could be found before we wrap it up to part 1?
On Twitter, you can find me at the Emo Ancap. or also the Emo Caucus you can find at LP Emo Caucus. There's also a Facebook group for the LP Emo Caucus as well. You should definitely join that. And yeah, that's my stuff.
Find me at Liberty Guy Lance on Twitter. If you're more of a Facebook person, just Lance Leduc. But it would be a shame if I didn't mention, if you're listening to this and you're a Connecticut resident interested in just finding out more about the Libertarian Party, lpct.org, or just reach out to me, shoot me a DM, and I'll be more happy to answer some questions and get you connected.
And also, I am the worst podcast host of all time. I did just start a podcast called Shut the Punk Up. It's every Wednesday and Sunday. I'm interviewing very well-known musicians from like Zebrahead, the Ataris. This weekend I got on Escape the Fate. I'm going to have Phil on from All That Remains at some point.
Tell him he blocked me on Twitter because I said one critical thing of him. Tell him to unblock me. I actually like him a lot.
Maybe Josie, Josie must know him because she's on.
Okay, I'll tell Josie. I'm
she's
upset.
on
I like what usually Phil has to say, but now he blocked me.
They're both on Timcast all the time.
Check out Shut the Punk Up as well. Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays is politics. Sundays is more on the music stuff. So good stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Doom Nation, this was part 1. Maybe there will be a part 2, but we are here at the Libertarian Convention in Cromwell, Connecticut, and we will see you definitely for our live stream of the presidential debate.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Cheers.
Clearly, you've been at it longer than
Clearly. What year were you born? What year were you born?
The same year as your wife, as you, 69, baby, 69, August of 69.
But you're not my wife. Technically,
yeah,
you're not my wife.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that true?
I gotta say, you guys look good on camera. You have great. If this presidential stuff don't work out, the two of you might have
we
a
could have
little
a
shot in
podcast
show
together.
business.
Yeah,
right.
Old and older.
So, all right.
Two dead guys.
Two dead
guys.
The ultimate doomed
we
men.
would start the thing with the 2 old guys in the Muppets sitting in the top thing.
Yes.
Just heckling all the rest of the people.
And maybe not even phase into us. We could just do the voices behind them.
Right. 100%. Yes.
I think we call it 2 dead guys.
2 dead guys.
Two dead guys.
New podcast coming out soon.
We could do 2 minutes a week, and that just be opening material for them, for the youngsters.
Yeah, for the youngsters.
For the youngsters.
Yeah.
2 dead guys.
This has been great so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I bring us in or?
Yeah, part 2. We're here.
Okay.
It's rolling. That was interesting. You guys kind of remind me of like Bert and Ernie or something.
Yes.
I thought that was impressive.
Is
So-
Lars here?
Yeah.
Is
I'm
Lars
sorry.
here today?
It's okay, Biden. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Jill! Jill!
It's okay.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Why don't you guys introduce
Yeah.
yourselves, plug everything for yourselves, and let's get into some
Fantastic.
topics.
I am Lars Mapstead.
I knew it.
Yep.
I knew that
Yeah,
was
I
true.
knew. Yeah, you got one thing correct
I
today.
got one right
Almost
today.
winning the debate.
Almost.
Almost. And I am running for president of the United States on the
Well,
Libertarian.
that's right. I remember that.
Libertarian Party. Right.
That's right.
Yeah, Libertarian Party. And you can visit me on social media at Libertarian Lars on X or Lars for President on Facebook. And you can visit my website at lars24.com.
I've seen that. You got some good stuff there.
I got a new one coming next week.
A new what?
A new website.
A new
all
website.
All new website coming next week.
Different like color scheme and stuff like that. How different is it going to be?
Well,
I've seen the old one. Do I need to go back to the new one now?
the thing is, I think you struck a little bit better like chord, so I'm actually putting you on the front of my website.
Excellent.
Yeah,
It's good because I'm taking me off.
Right,
A lot of people are sick of looking at me. I'm going to
Yeah.
run a picture of you on my website.
100%.
Lars, I have to say, I've noticed, no offense, Mike, but I've noticed, Lars, you're really good at kind of being in people's comments on Twitter. Anytime I go into like something that's happening, like some thread that's going viral, you're always like the first comment up there.
Yeah.
So credit there.
Thank you. Yeah, I live my life on social media. It's part of my background. I ran a large company that was basically marketing called Friend Finder Networks, which is a dating site. We had 20 million something paid members on the site. So I'm good at marketing, and so I just take that to social media. My favorite thing to do is ratio Robert Reich.
Oh yeah.
He's
So
my favorite.
we do a segment on our podcast called Tweets of the Week, where we pick out either like a really funny tweet or a tweet someone says some really heinous shit. And this guy, Chris, always picks Robert Reich all the time. He's at least every other week. Robert Reich gets honorable mention on our podcast.
He is an idiot. Good for you. That's a good
Well,
target.
he's,
I like that.
he's the ultimate virtue signaler.
Yes.
If you wanted a Democratic rah-rah man, he's the guy, because he will just pump the most asinine crap ever. That just means nothing, but people buy it, which is really
No, it's amazing. He's been scooping this stuff. Family show. He's been
not a family show, Mike. You can curse here.
He's been scooping this shit out since like 91, 92.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, he was Clinton's economic advisor. And, the amount of nonsense that he spews economically for a guy that taught at Berkeley economics. I mean,
he's not an economist. He just asserts that he is, but he's not. He's got no formal training in economics whatsoever.
That makes so much sense now. Yeah, it's really challenging.
No, you should keep hammering him. That's a good.
He's my favorite.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, it shouldn't surprise you guys that he's an economics professor at Berkeley.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like part of the course, isn't it?
Just like all those CIA directors getting jobs at Facebook and Twitter.
You can teach at Berkeley or you can be an economist, but you can't be both.
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry.
Mike, why don't you plug yourself and where everybody can find you and all that?
Yeah,
plug me.
Lars2024.com. There's even more pictures of me at MikeTermaat.com. And that's worth going to. We've got
Gold New Deal. Don't forget
goldnewdeal.org. Thank you. I almost forgot. Yeah. Goldnewdeal.org. It's not .com, but you can go to goldnewdeal.com now because someone plugged goldnewdeal.com by mistake, so we had to go out and get that website.
Wow.
So MikeTermaat.com is the basic campaign website. Got a lot of good stuff there.
Basic.
It's the basics.
The basics.
It's got the basics down there.
Back to basics. We need to get back to basics.
Well, it's a lot of basics about me.
Yes.
Which is to say a lot of important stuff. Very, very important stuff because it's about me. And then there's the goldnewdeal.org has got stuff about libertarianism, which is...
That's what we're here for, right?
Actually, that's the reason we're here.
Yeah, we're here to end the state.
We're here to end the state, and it's got plans on how to do that at goldnewdeal.org. It's very exciting. It's all about forging a new relationship between us, and as we say, between us and the government we will tolerate.
Yeah.
So there's some really good stuff.
Having a plan is good. Just talking stuff is not so great.
I
but
think having a plan is a good idea. Yeah.
You can, like when we do our podcast, the two dead guys,
two dead men.
We're going
to call it two dead men.
We're actually going to lead.
Subsidiary of Two Doomed Men.
We're going to lead. We're going to lead with policy because policy actually is.
I think that's a good idea.
It's the critical piece.
And we'll plan on how to put our policies in place. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, I think one of the things that we should do as part of that plan is run for president.
Yeah, I think also, like, we were going to do the two old guys and the Muppets.
Right.
But we could also do Pinky and the Brain.
No, I like that.
We have to Rochambeau who's Pinky and who's the Brain.
You got to, I can't be the brain.
Okay. Oh, I think that's kind of obvious. I was going to say you're definitely the brain and you're definitely Pinky. You guys really look like them too.
Yeah,
It's not
could be Pinky.
Yeah, so we're never going to show our actual faces.
You got to reach out to the younger crowd.
Yeah,
I think that's
a good way.
I don't know.
Now the
Pinky
youngsters here.
Pinky and the Brain is actually old people now, unfortunately.
I don't know, man. When I was maybe like 5 or 6 back in the '90s, and that's when I was watching Pinky and the Brain.
But that was the '90s.
I mean, maybe I guess we're old.
I'm still reacting to him being 5 or 6 in the '90s.
Yeah,
that hurt. That hurt.
Thanks,
yeah, so are my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me feel old. Yeah.
No, it's all good.
Mike, I have to say, I listened to you on what was it? Kyle.
Sorry about that.
Kyle and what's her name? Kyle and what's her name? She usually does it with Sagar. What's her name? Crystal and Kyle.
Yep.
And that was so interesting. I was so frustrated listening to you trying to kind of like.
Well, there are a couple of pieces of work.
I like them, but you were making so many good. I have to hand it to you. Like the patience you had trying to make economic points to essentially Marxists.
Well, I appreciate that. I've raised children before. Yeah.
It was fun. So I just wanted to compliment you on that. I was like driving and I almost drove off the road a couple times listening to their responses to you.
Well, that's one of the reasons why they don't let you do the podcast in person, because they're afraid you might actually punch someone in the face.
Yeah.
Right, and that's not a good idea.
No, we have the nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have the NAP.
We have to follow the NAP.
Even with socialists and communists.
Even with that. Yeah.
Right.
Love and tolerance is
Now,
our code.
I did want to ask you, though, if we're going to do a podcast together in the future,
Yeah.
and whether it's called Two Dead Men or not, even though that is a good name because it dovetails with the doomed youngsters here,
Yeah.
do we do it remotely, or do I have to come out to California, you have to come out to Virginia,
Well, it's
or
an
do
expense.
Darn right it's
We
an
can-
expense, and you know how cheap I am.
I mean, the thing is once we abolish the tax code, we won't have to write anything off, and so it won't be an expense anymore.
Right.
It'll just be
So-
cost, right?
Well,
so
that's
I
a
think
good point.
I think we could do both.
You guys might be
Some-
doing it from the basement of the White House. You know,
That's true.
If things go right.
Yeah.
Biden's
things
got a
go right.
studio down there, right? So it's all set up
Yeah.
for you guys to
Whatever,
take over.
whatever
Now,
fake Oval
Are
Office
you going to
Biden
leave
does.
your office as vice president and come see me in the Oval Office? Is that how that's going to work?
Yeah, no.
No?
Unfortunately, you're going to have to come upstairs
Okay.
and visit me.
All right.
Yeah.
I have to visit
Yeah,
you in the Oval
yeah,
Office?
Yeah, but I got a
Okay.
seat for you.
Okay, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Instead
You
of
know,
like
you got your own
FDR's,
bathroom off the Oval Office.
I would much prefer this as like the modern version of FDR's fireside chats. Just you two guys every week, just doing
Every
something
week.
like this. It'd
Right.
be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think I could see the American people being united.
I'll bring the fire
again behind it.
extinguisher.
Yeah.
For the
America would vote
fireside.
for this. America would vote for this.
I have to say, we've been doing this for 3 years. We're 200 plus episodes in. You two, looking at you guys on camera, your banter back and forth. You two got a show here. I'm serious.
Yeah. And Chris, what's your main criticism of
Kim
libertarianism?
Kardashian
right?
has a
Yeah,
show.
so-
Let's
Let him
not
run.
set
Let
the
him
bar
run
too
this by
high.
you guys. You guys are running for president as libertarians. Let him run this criticism of
So,
libertarians.
as I was talking to Mike before, you know, I'm in this middle ground because I believe in the principles and ideas of libertarianism, but I'm also a Republican conservative. My big issue is that libertarians are terrible. The party, not the people. The party is terrible at marketing. There's no household name. I think you guys could be the household name. There's very little to no education to break into the two-party system. There's money left on the table. There's missed opportunities. How do you guys want to get this party into the mainstream?
I think there's a couple of answers to that, and without sounding completely gratuitous, I think you're looking at the two guys that represent the couple of things that we need to do differently. One is that we need to run a much more professional campaign that leans on the modern vehicles of marketing to do that. This is something that Lars, he already mentioned it, but he's very good at that. He understands not only modern media and how it works, but how to use it. And he's obviously demonstrated a great deal of experience at that. And the other thing that we need to do better is to build a campaign that will appeal to more Americans. The kind of a campaign, for example, that I'm building is extremely professional. We already have a bunch of people on staff whom we pay, a lot of whom, including myself, have political experience. And I believe that our campaign will meet the threshold of credibility that Americans expect for them to be paying attention. I've worked in the White House before. I was a professional economist for 25 years. I've worked in law enforcement, as a lot of people know. I've dedicated careers to public service and public policy. I think that people are going to give the campaign a look, and I think that we represent the modern look of the Libertarian Party.
Yeah. So my answer to that is that the system is rigged. The reason that we're not able to attract high-powered, high-level names to the Libertarian Party is because everybody knows that the system is so rigged against us that we have little shot at actually making any waves. And so my campaign is about winning something for the Libertarian Party. And I am a business person who likes to solve problems, and I'm good at outside-of-the-box thinking. And so I sat down and I started thinking, what could we do as libertarians to win, to put us on the map, to make us be something different? We've all heard it so many times before. I would vote for you guys, but you can't win, so
Right.
I'm not going to vote for you, right? And so we could have the best based messaging. We could have the best team. We could have all of the things that are necessary to run an effective presidential campaign. But the system is so rigged against us with ballot access, with gerrymandering, with winner-take-all stuff. The whole electoral process is completely rigged. The media is rigged against us, right? The duopoly controls the media, and they control how you get to interact with the media. And if they don't like you, or you're not part of the messaging that they want, you're just sidebarred. Right? And you see that with like RFK right now.
Yeah.
RFK was running as a Democrat. He got all kinds of attention. And suddenly he's now an independent. And now he's a threat to the duopoly. And suddenly he doesn't exist anymore. Right?
Yeah, they hate his guts, don't they?
That is a rigged system.
Interesting, especially the Democratic Party hates his guts even more than Republicans hate his
look,
guts.
Look, the duopoly has been suppressing independents and third parties for so long. And they've gotten so good at it that they are bold and they don't care about even being caught anymore, to the point where they suppress their own candidates. We have the illusion of choice in America. We are forced to vote between Donald Trump and Joe Biden again, which is absolute horror.
That is a weird thing.
We're forced. Like, all my life I felt like I was voting for Clinton, Bush, and it was like, this is not real. This is not
older than that.
This is not a choice, right? So we have to unrig the system, and for me, that begins with our electoral system. And so I'm putting forth a voters' bill of rights that completely overhauls our electoral system, makes it transparent and fair and easy for everybody to understand. And so, like, I didn't get to finish about my electoral vote that I want to win, because that's how we win. That's how we put libertarians on the map. By focusing our resources on key areas of the country and winning an electoral vote, imagine on election night, California is blue, Texas is red, Florida is red. What the hell is this gold crap on the map? The Libertarians have finally won something, right? And by winning, that drives new members. That drives people Googling what is a Libertarian, which is how I found a Libertarian. That means people are signing up. People are getting excited. Oh, you can win? I'll donate money to you now. I'll donate money to the governor candidate or the local elected candidate that's running as a Libertarian. So this, to me, we have to win. We have to show that we can be successful. And winning 1 to 2 to 3% in the presidential election every cycle, it doesn't mean anything. On election night, they look at it and you're just a footnote, and they just swipe it away like it's nothing. But if we were the deciding factor in the election and we caused the Donald Trump and Joe Biden to not be elected, not win 270 votes, it goes to the House of Representatives for them to decide who's going to be president. And you saw how contentious it was for them to pick the Speaker of the House. Imagine if they were trying to pick the President of the United States. I mean, it would just be drama nonstop, which it would bring attention to us, and that's what we need.
Their heads would explode.
Heads would explode.
Well, good for you.
That might be a good thing.
It might be a good thing.
That's how we fix this.
I do think that we have the opportunity in this cycle to actually disrupt American politics. I think that we will leave American politics different than the way that we found it. It's interesting you guys brought up RFK Jr. because there are those who are a little bit discouraged because they're afraid that he'll pick up some of the protest vote, right? And I know that some of us get jealous over that because we want all the protest vote to ourselves. I'm rather optimistic. I believe that there's plenty of protest vote out there to be had, first of all. I also believe that having a guy like Robert Kennedy Jr., who is not a libertarian, and it will not be that difficult for us to cleave a real hard edge against him because he is fundamentally a good government, big government kind of guy. He's a statist at heart. He does rail against some of the same things that we do, but he's not what you would call a libertarian. I do think that him being out there with all the complaining is not only a good thing for us policy-wise, but I think it's a good thing for us politically. I think that he is going to help us open some eyes to the fact that you don't have to support the duopoly.
That the system is rigged.
That the system is rigged.
He's showing the system is rigged, and Marianne Williamson is also talking about this.
Yes.
And there's other people.
And the Green Party will too.
And Vivek is even talking about inside the Republican Party.
Right.
He's calling for the ouster of the chair of the Republican Party. This is like how fragmented they are.
Yeah.
Right.
And he realizes the system is rigged against him, and after spending literally tens of millions of dollars of his own money, he realizes he has little chance of winning.
Right.
And it's very frustrating to him because he feels like he has the best message, that he's the youngest guy, blah, 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 right? And he realizes the system is rigged against him. I want all these guys to break away from the duopoly and run against the duopoly to show America just how broken and rigged the system is, because most people don't understand that the rules aren't the same for everybody. Ballot access rules are not the same. And when you explain this to the American people, they go, that's not American. And then you say, well, help me do something about it. And they're like, well, I'm a Republican, or, well, I'm a Democrat. I don't really care if the system is rigged against you. Right? But now they're getting where they're all rigging against each other internally. And so now they're
Which is particularly funny, I think.
Yes.
Now, you guys need to get Aaron Lewis on your show. Dr. Aaron Lewis is here in the audience somewhere. He's not here at the moment, or I'd drag his ass up here right now.
I would say maybe we'll do a little bit after the debate.
I just spent a half an hour with him recording a conversation, and I'll plug it. I'll push it out there for everyone to see. Really speaks eloquently and importantly about the problems with ballot access, both how frustrating it is for us as a party and for other third parties, but he also talks about it from a real ethical point of view, and how just from the standpoint of you wanting to advance the ability of voices to be heard inside the United States, for America to be the kind of country that we want it to be, right? We need to fix these problems. He's really an interesting guy. I encourage you to have him on your podcast soon.
I can speak to that personally because we were here at the last convention, and he was our governor, nominee for Libertarian here in Connecticut, and he gave a great speech. And I was excited to actually have someone that I like to vote for governor.
Right.
But then we had a ballot access issue because of COVID, and on election day, I show up to vote and his name's not there,
right?
Because of that. And we had Lance on to kind of talk about this, had to do with COVID and the whole stuff. But yeah, it's a major issue, definitely.
It's a major issue, and he's a player in it, and you're lucky to have a guy like that in your state. Connecticut has some weird ballot access challenges, of course, but
nothing like Maine.
Yeah,
nothing like Maine.
Maine is, that's a lift, isn't it?
I've been up in Maine 4 times now, and essentially what happened in Maine was the government came in and deleted all the Libertarians off the register and said that they were stale voters, right? But they didn't delete the stale Democrats or Republicans, they just did that. So the state sued the government, and the government said, yeah, we screwed up, we shouldn't have done that, but we're not going to restore the rolls. So you have to rebuild the rolls now, and you need to get 5,000. Well, at the time, you needed to get 10,000 registered voters in order to get ballot access again, right? And we know how hard that is. So the party went back and sued again, and was able to get that down to 5,000. But we have been fighting tooth and nail to get ballot access. I've personally put in $25,000 of my own money into Maine to try to get ballot access, and it's going to come down to the wire at the end of this month as to whether or not the presidential candidate will have access in Maine.
And we're optimistic.
Yes.
We think we're going to make it in Maine, but it is a big challenge. And then, of course, on the other side of Connecticut, we've got the New York challenge, which is huge.
Yes.
And
at least $500,000 is needed.
At least $500,000 worth, either in cash or volunteer hours. Larry Sharp is going to be here. A lot of folks know that a lot of the effort has revolved around Larry the last couple of years. He has worked very hard on behalf of Libertarian ballot access.
And they changed the rules right in the middle of the game.
Right in the middle of it, right.
Like,
incredible.
But that's the thing is, like, we always talk about, well, the Libertarians, we want them to get on the debate stage. Well, the debate stage is controlled by the duopoly, right? So how are you going to ever get on it when you meet a certain threshold? They do it to their own people. They delete them from the debate for their own people and their own party. Right. So why would they ever throw us a bone and be like, oh, yeah, we're going to bend the rules and allow the rules to stand? It's like they'll just keep changing the rules, and that's why the system is rigged.
They're doing it right now to Biden, with Biden, right? I think, was it Donna Brazile who's basically like, we're not having a primary here, folks. Like, even though there are other Democrats that were running at the time, they're not having debates. They're not, like, facilitating any
Just in case there was anyone left in America who thought that Donna Brazile had one ethical bone in her body, you can remove all doubt at this point.
All right, boys. I think we're going to wrap this up. We got about a half an hour into the live debate. So
all right. Well, this has been a lot. You guys are nice young men.
Thank
you. This has been a lot of fun.
And don't forget our new podcast, Two Dead Men, is coming right after we're done with all this.
Right after we vacate the White House.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
After Inauguration Day.
Yeah, we're gonna make waves.
Right. You guys are going to use that studio in the basement that Biden used. We're going to turn that into the Libertarian President.
I think it's a good
podcast
idea.
Studio.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody, for listening. See you later.